Albertans should read our blog series because it's a conversation that our province isn't having but needs to have. It's a long overdue conversation about the reality of the unfolding global energy transition and what it means to an oil and gas producing jurisdiction like Alberta. So we can stick our heads in the sand and deny that change is coming, or we can plan for that change to make sure that our future is just as prosperous as our past has been. And that's exactly what we talk about in the series, about how to take this change and turn it into prosperity for our businesses, for our economy, for our families. There is a way for Alberta to continue to be the most prosperous jurisdiction in a very prosperous country, but it's not going to happen by itself. In a world that's changing really fast, it's only going to happen if we prepare to take advantage of the opportunities that are associated with that change. So it's a conversation that needs to be had. It's not being led by our current government or even our opposition party. So the Alberta Federation of Labor is stepping into the breach and trying to start that conversation that I think most Albertans understand that we really have to have. Albertans understand in their guts that change is coming, but they also understand that it's really important to prepare for that change rather than simply stick our heads in the sand. That's why we at the Alberta Federation of Labor, in cooperation with our unions, especially those who represent workers in oil and gas, manufacturing, construction, we've come together to launch a campaign that we're going to be calling Diversify Alberta. And in that campaign, we're going to talk about the change that is coming, especially related to the unfolding global energy transition. This is not something that's going to happen overnight, but Albertans understand that the world has started that bumpy process of moving away from fossil fuels. And as a fossil fuel producing jurisdiction, that has huge implications for our economy, for our businesses, and from our perspective, most importantly, it has huge implications for our workers. And I want to make it clear that we in the Alberta Labor Movement, we understand that oil and gas has been incredibly good to our province and its workers and its economy. And we celebrate the success and prosperity that developing this valuable resource has afforded to our population and our workers. But we don't think it does anyone any good to deny that change is coming or to stick our heads in the sand. One of our first suggestions is that we need, instead of abandoning oil and gas, which some people have suggested, but that's certainly not what we in the labor movement here in Alberta are suggesting. Instead, we're saying that we need to pivot the oil and gas towards new opportunities in a lower carbon economy. So more specifically, what we're suggesting is that instead of developing our fossil fuel resources to use as feedstocks for fuels, which we know there's going to be a declining demand for going forward, what we're suggesting is that we use our oil and natural gas as feedstocks for materials, things like petrochemicals, plastics, carbon fiber. In fact, oil sands are a particularly good feedstock for materials like carbon fiber. And this is an emerging industry, and that we have an opportunity, we think, to go from ewers of wood and drawers of oil sands into a province that adds value to our resources through manufacturing. And so instead of just an oil and gas industry, we actually have a manufacturing industry based on our resources. So, pivoting the oil and gas industry towards materials, building out our electrical grid, which by itself will create jobs and then also create more opportunities. Renewable energy, pivoting towards things like the development and exploitation of hydrogen, which is once again parallel to our oil and gas industry. The point that we're making in this report is that there are pathways in a lower carbon world to reach that goal of reducing emissions, but also maintaining our prosperity in this province for Albertans, even as the world changes. But it's not just going to happen overnight. It takes leadership and it takes a commitment. The thing that we as organizations that represent working Albertans are a little bit concerned about, actually I should say more than a little bit, we're frustrated and disappointed. We've got a political class in this province, led by Danielle Smith and her UCP government, who are literally sticking their heads in the sand. And I've joked that instead of calling her Premier Danielle Smith, we should call her Premier Denial Smith, because she is denying the trends that everyone in the world is seeing right now.